Someone sent me this article from Counterpunch entitled Stop Talking About Protests, and I'd love to know what you think about it. It's by Peter Burgle. It's not very long, so I'll read it to you real quick. I'm tired of hearing about protests and protesters. Those terms sound whiny and powerless to me. Protest means to object, which of course is what we are doing when we hit the streets, but we're doing something equally, or I would say more important. We are demonstrating. What are we demonstrating? We're demonstrating support for our issue and our point of view. We are saying, here is a crowd of people who agree that, and then insert issue. We want those who hold the power in our society to change something. That's more than just objecting to the status quo, more than just protesting. It is articulating a vision of something more satisfactory. Why is that important? The key dynamic is the perception of who holds the ultimate power. Is it those in power, or is it the people who actually hold the ultimate power, right? Is it demeaning for the people to plead with their elected officials for a little more of this or a little less of that? They are our servants. They are supposed to work to deliver what the majority of us want. That's what democracy means, y'all. Right? This is why I love to reference the term representative democracy. Our representatives should be representing our best interest, and they don't. Too many of them represent the interest of the billionaires, of corporations, of AIPAC, of foreign money, of Donald Trump and the fascists. They don't represent us. But in a representative democracy, we have representation. Our elected officials are public servants. We currently don't have that right now. Ultimately, we elect those who do what we want and unelect those who do not. We all know the money from the wealthy and the corporations perverts this idealistic model in practice, but let's set that aside for a moment. The media have veered away from the terms demonstration and demonstrators, which were once far more common. When they instead call our actions protests and those who participate protesters, they are casting us in a role of supplicants to masters. When we ourselves use those protest terms, we accede to the perception of ourselves as supplicants. In other words, we give our power away. While we are in the very act of asserting that we are powerful, we accept a description that paints us as powerless. Let's believe in our own assertion of power and redouble our efforts to demonstrate it, not only by behaving as if we were powerful, but also by claiming a powerful name for one of our mass action tactics. We are not protesters, we are demonstrators, and we are demonstrating our strength. And while we are thinking about demonstrating our strength, let's think one step further. Demonstrating is a numbers game. Demonstrations that increase in size over time demonstrate increasing support for our cause, our issue. And if that is true, what do demonstrations in decreasing size say? One general rule, to which there may be occasional exceptions, is if your next demonstration is not going to be larger than your last one, don't do it. That may sound anathema to some organizers, but we must think strategically rather than tactically. To be effective, we should always let our strategy dictate our tactics and not the other way around. We demonstrate if it serves our overall purpose and not just because we decide to do it. So what do you think about that? I have mixed feelings, but I would love to hear what your opinion is, because I actually think that there are a couple of good points here, right? We are demonstrating our power. We are protesting the illegality and the harm and the brutality of the government, but ultimately, these mass events like No King's Day are a demonstration of our collective power, right? And I think that is a really important point for us to remember. I disagree that every demonstration needs to be larger than the one that happened before it. We know that, especially from experts like Dr. Erica Chenoweth and from the advice of grassroots organizations like Indivisible, that it really is this kind of sustained presence that not every protest has to be bigger than the one before, right? Like today, there were veterans protests all over the country, and they were smaller than No King's Day, but they're still just as valuable. What matters is that people are consistently resisting, visibly in public. People are demonstrating consistently. When we call for big national days of action, I do think that those need to grow, right? One of the ways that you know your resistance movement is successful, one of the ways that you know your resistance movement is gathering power, is that those large events are growing in size. but I still think really small demonstrations overpassing honkin' waves, smaller protests that are held by specific groups like veterans' rights groups or like unions, environmental groups, groups of students. I think that the Raging Grannies, I think all of those are really important. But I also think that language is important. And I really appreciate the person who sent this to me because it has got me thinking about, I don't like to nitpick language, but I do think that certain words have power. They have power to shape our outlook. They have power to shape the way that we view our own involvement in a movement and the kinds of strategies that we should be employing. And I really do find part of this appealing. The idea of leaning into the word demonstration, particularly because large national days of action, like No King's Day, are about making a visible demonstration to all of the pillars of support under the fascist regime that, hey, there are so many more of us than there are of you. We are big and powerful, and we are growing in number, and we will not be silenced. We will not obey in advance. We will continue to organize. Mass public displays of opposition. That's the phrase that I've been using, but maybe I should be saying mass public demonstrations of opposition. It is a demonstration of our strength and the fact that we are a multitude. I also really like this idea, right? One of the things that I've talked about for a long time, and I'm not the only one, is that we can't just be fighting against something. We have to be fighting for something. We have to have a compelling vision, a compelling narrative of what kind of America we want to build. And when we are demonstrating, we're not just protesting against the government. We are demonstrating to everybody what kind of unity we have, what kind of community we are building, what kind of vision that we have for the future. So many of the signs that I saw on No King's Day were not just anti-Trump signs, anti-fascism signs, anti-ICE signs. They were also signs about what kind of America we deserve. Tons of signs about women's rights, universal health care, taxing the rich, governmental reforms that would make our quality of life better. So I don't know, what do you think about this? Are they protests or are they demonstrations? Is it really either or? And how can we think about our use of language to help us better understand the actions that we are undertaking?